A rider on peak form and starting the season with a series of wins. And Remco didn't do too badly either this week. Hello and welcome to the Gruppetto. There have been 16 stages in the history of the UAE Women's Tour. Lorena Wiebes has won 9 of them. It's a startling statistic and a race full of big names. Hannah Walker was commentating, so who better than Hannah to take us through the story of the week in the desert?
Cheers, Rob. Yeah, 4 days of racing have concluded at the UAE Tour Women, now in its 4th edition, and the one and only UCI Women's World Tour race in the Middle East. The opening day was a day where teams tried to split things in the wind, and they tried to take advantage. Ultimately, it didn't amount to anything. It came down to a bunch sprint. Sprinters lost their lead-out trains. It was messy, it was chaotic. It was Lorena Wiebes who managed to freelance her way in the final. She won the opening stage ahead of Lara Gillespie, with 3rd place going to Zoe Backstead of Canyon Strand's under Crypto after Chiara Consonni lost her lead-out. Brilliant performance from Backstead. Day 2, 4 riders went up the road. They had over 7 minutes of an advantage at one point, and they really put a lot of stress on the shoulders of SD Worx Pro Time, who very rarely got any assistance from any other team. It came back together. There was a crash in the final, took out several riders, including Marlin Reusser. Fortunately, she didn't suffer any fractures or concussion, but she needed stitches. And then the sprint was won in the most dominant fashion by Lorena Wiebes. She ended up winning by over 12 bike lengths.
Here comes Gladys Verhulst-Wild. She's got some work to do. Where is Lorena Wiebes? Wiebes finds her way through right on time. 100 metres to go. It's going to be Lorena Wiebes who's going to take victory number 8 at the UAE Tour for Women. Pro victory 120 and SD Worx Pro Time make it back-to-back stage victories courtesy of the Dutch champion.
And on day 3, there was a breakaway of 5 riders. They came back within the final 50 kilometres. That opened the door for Nina Berton to go away. She became a real dangerous rider because she's a strong time trialer. She put a lot of pressure on the shoulders of UAE Team ADQ. Their last opportunity to try and beat Wiebes. It came down to a bunch sprint in the end. The closest sprint that we've seen, Lara Gillespie taking 2nd place, but it was Wiebes who made it a 3-peat, with Dideriksen taking 3rd. And then day 4, it was all about Jebel Hafeet. Teams tried to do something in the wind on the flatlands of Alan. Again, it didn't amount to anything, and it was all about that final climb. 10.8 kilometres long, average gradient 6.6% with double-digit gradients of 11%. And once Elisa Longo Borghini made her attack, that was it. Nobody was able to go with her. They tried. Nuvia Doma tried to come back to Longo Borghini, didn't do so successfully, and Longo Borghini took a solo victory at the top of the majestic climb of Jebel Hafeet.
Elisa Longo Borghini, the Italian champion of UAE Team ADQ, comes into the hoardings. She's going to reign supreme at the top of Jebel Hafeet. An injection of pace. This has been an absolute masterclass from both Elisa Longo Borghini and UAE Team ADQ in their home race. A majestic performance at the top of this majestic climb. A sensational ascent. A wonderful performance. And Elisa Longo Borghini wins the UAE Tour 2026 at the top of Jebel Hafeet. She seals the deal, back-to-back wins in the UAE Tour Women.
Monica Trinket-Colonel taking 2nd place in the general classification, and 3rd place going to Femke de Vries. 4 stages, of course, very dominant from SD Worx Pro Time with Lorena Wiebes, and UAE Team ADQ, of course, a proud 4 days of racing to conclude on home soil with Elisa Longo Borghini winning.
Back in Europe, and stage racing is underway. The Pro Tour men were taking on 5 stages around the Valencian region on the east coast of Spain. And with Remco Evenepoel racing, there were plenty of eyeballs cast in that direction. The Volta Comunitat Valenciana began with what was on paper the easiest chance of a sprint. A split in the bunch and a crash that ended Mas Pearson's chances of early season success meant that once late attacker Giulio Pellizzari was caught, there would be an opportunity for Biniam Girmay. Biniam through the centre now. Biniam is there. In a sense, Biniam hits the front. Is it going to be a dream start for him? It's Biniam all the way. Marit's there as well. Marit, Bini, and Biniam is right back Bini, almost 600 days since his last win, taking victory on his first day in NSN colours, also pulling on the yellow leader's jersey. Day 2 was TT Day, a golden chance for the golden boy of his generation against the clock, Remco Evenepoel. However, the day didn't quite go to plan for the organisers. Strong winds made it dangerous for time trial equipment to be used, and apparently for times to count on GC too. But the organisers did put on a race on road bikes for the stage win. That win was, of course, taken comfortably by the world champion. The question remained, however, that if it was too dangerous for GC times to count, why was there any racing at all? Either it's safe or it isn't. Make the decision either way, but having done so, why not then count those times? Local organisers wanted to keep the spectacle obviously going for the authorities who paid for the stage in the region, but the resolution seemed to me at least to lack a little logic. Several riders suggested so too, but what do you think? Was it a happy medium and a sensible decision? Should the times have counted for the GC? Should the stage have been called off altogether? Give us your opinion in the comments section below. Road racing was back underway on day 3, and not far from Alicante there was a huge chase on. Florian Vermeers had been joined by Odno Holter, Jonathan Vervenne and Andrew A.J. August. The latter not contributing to that late move because he had one of the faster finishers as a teammate in the group behind. The group was closing in on the finishing straight, but not quickly enough to prevent this happening.
It's Vervenne who looks around, and that's that then for NSN. It's up to Ineos behind if they want to do it, and it seems they do. They continue with Turner. 200 metres to go now for the front, and now August is going to hit the front. He's not done a single turn yet so far. It's AJ August looking for his first professional victory. The 20-year-old's there. There is August. Here are Ineos, and it's August going to the line, but Holter tries to steal it. It's August who has it. That will not be popular with the riders he was with, but it will say number 1 in the victory column.
Biniam was still in the race lead as the Queen stage began, but with 3,300 metres of climbing in hills behind the popular training camp destination Calpe, the Eritrean superstar knew that he'd be passing the jersey on at the end of stage 4. A strong 8-man breakaway was controlled all day by Red Bull before being brought back inside the final 15 kilometres. Just under 13 remained when Evenepoel attacked on the way up Cumbres del Sol. A couple of riders trying to follow him were found too close to the sun, and despite a late chase, wouldn't see Evenepoel until after the finish line. Remco with his second stage win of the week. This time GC gaps would count. A 5th victory in 7 days as a Red Bull BORA hansgrohe rider, and a nice half-a-minute lead to take into the final stage. That lead wasn't under threat as a big move managed to get up the road. The German squad controlled well, but struggled to catch the group out in front. 9 remained out there with more than a minute of a gap inside the final 20 kilometres. But that continued to fall as there were nervous moments in the lead. A group of 6 did just about manage to hold on, and for the first time, Raul Garcia Pierna won a road race, Evenepoel taking the overall prize. A really good start for Remco then. And here's a little bit of information to think about going forward on that front, because the last time a Belgian won the Tour of Valencia, the year was 1969, and his name was Eddy Merckx. The Volta Comunitat Valenciana Feminas is a one-day race that's become a fixture over the best part of the last decade. A strong start list was whittled down to around 25 riders as they approached the region's capital city. Just under 100 kilometres and 2 classified climbs in the middle of the route with a Sunday lunchtime menu. In the end, devoured by Liane Lippert. The German got away in the final few kilometres, with her Movistar colleagues waiting to pounce should she be caught. They weren't required. Lippert winning for the first time since last year's Giro, with her teammate Kat Ferguson just edged out into 3rd behind Shari Bossert of AG Insurance. Movistar with 2 on the podium at home in Spain. The Étoile de Bessèges is a long-standing French stage race. After having been beset by safety problems and subsequent rider protests last year, it was nice to see things up and running again, and a race with loads of history able to write another chapter. In fact, there was a succession of whole new stories put together, with a week of firsts beginning with a maiden pro victory on the opening day for Tim Krabbe, the Belgian fastest in Bellegarde. The rain was coming down like there was no tomorrow on stage 2, and a good look through it was required to spot Mathieu Kokkelman getting the better of experienced sprinter Dylan Groenewegen, another first pro success. Young Henry Ulig was the next to get his arms in the air, having never previously done so. His victory was Alpecin Premier Tech's first of the season. Third division team Van Rijssel Roubaix had their biggest moment in a long time when Joppe Heremans won a reduced sponge sprint in Vauvert. But Lukas Kubish's consistency meant that he'd held the leader's jersey since the third stage. A lead of just 13 seconds over second-placed Ulig, with several other riders also waiting in the wings, meant that everything would still be to play for going into the final day's time trial. Step forward Ewen Kostju, a 23-year-old Breton rider who joined Groupama FDJ at the start of this season. He was the fastest against the clock and fast enough to finish up with the GC Prize too. A 2-for-1 that got the French team up and running for the 2026 season. That's all for this week, but coming up we've got the Vuelta Murcia, Tour de la Provence, and it's the women's turn to race in the Valencian region for the whole week. There'll be one-day racing from both Portugal and Spain. All of that is live and on demand on TNT Sports and Discovery+. We'll be back next week, and we'll also bring you a review of the Tour of Oman. Until then, enjoy the cycling, enjoy the Winter Olympics. Goodbye.